All right, day five. Quick recap of day four before we go on. So, pointed out a few places where I could get better. Definitely Montana got a little too wide there. Texas a little bit squished in the north-south direction, but overall not too bad. A couple things. First of all, if you've been following on either Facebook or Instagram, whatever, thank you for your likes and your comments and stuff like that. I really appreciate that. This is actually pretty fun to do. I thought it'd be kind of a drag after a couple days, but really this is actually really fun. So I'm enjoying this. Hope you guys are too. The other thing is I am in fact actually practicing. I'm not just drawing this every day and hoping to get better incrementally. I'm trying to get better as much as I can. So to kind of show you guys some of what I'm doing. So the rules for this are that I'm drawing it in ink without a guide. So I'm not like looking at a map on the screen here, but I do look at a map when I'm practicing, kind of just to kind of get the try to get some of the details right, I guess. Speaking of which, those of you who have been commenting and saying, talking about how I'm had New Hampshire lose its coastline or didn't quite draw St. Louis properly, I really appreciate that actually. So kind of here's a couple things I've been doing to practice. I looked at especially the Pacific Northwest just here, looking at the ratio from the length to the width of each state, just so I can eyeball it a little bit. And then the other thing I've been doing is, like I said, I'm actually looking at maps trying to find the details. On the eastern half of the U.S., the Ohio Valley, where all the borders are defined by rivers, it'll be a little tricky, but I've actually been kind of taking a look at some of the borders, trying to get some of the details right. St. Louis in particular juts into Illinois a little bit. I never realized that, so there it is right there. Hopefully we can start incorporating that into our actual maps. Down here, drew Texas, tried to get some of the ratios just right, and this is probably as well as I've ever drawn it. Obviously I was using a guide for this one. I do practice with a guide looking at a map, so let's see where this goes. Tertiary goal for the day: use one piece of paper. Not gonna tape a second sheet onto this. We'll see how that goes. Let's do it. Okay, so starting the Pacific Northwest again. So here we go. And what I've noticed actually is that a lot of the states that are more or less rectangular, they are wider at the bottom, at the south side, than they are at the north, because the east and west borders kind of follow a single line of longitude, and obviously that gets wider as it gets closer to the equator, goes further south. So at least here in the northern hemisphere. So we'll try to incorporate that just so we can get that little kind of U shape at the top of the United States there. So here we go. All right, so Washington's ratio width to height is about 5-4, and I can't quite eyeball that as well as I can like a 2-1 or a 3-2 even, but we're gonna try. So it's a little higher than I think it is. All right, let's see. There's Oregon there. And Oregon's about 4-3, and it's definitely taller than Washington is. It's got this kind of a little thing that juts into Idaho before it comes back in, so. There we go. California. Nevada. Utah. Okay. The Wyoming border kind of comes up, but not that high. Not quite as far north as the Washington-Oregon border. So. Okay, we'll start there, and then maybe it goes a little higher. Okay, and then what I finally discovered actually is Wyoming, the height is about 4-3, and Colorado is about 5-4, and Colorado is about 4-3. So Colorado is actually a decent bit bigger than Wyoming, land area wise, and I was able to confirm that just by Googling it. So So Wyoming is a little closer to being a square, but certainly not quite a square. I'm actually going to draw that one right now, just so I have it. There we go. Little screw up there, but that's okay. As Bob Ross says, no mistakes, only happy accidents. Okay, so something I also discovered about Idaho's kind of northern border, northeast border with Montana. Basically, it's kind of splits into three parts, actually. So there's like a flat part on the east, which kind of does this, right? Pretty flat part. And then it goes, and the western third of it it does this, it obviously goes straight across, touches Canada a little bit, and then it comes down almost like a straight line, and then like a kind of a quarter of an ellipse. And I do a lot of estimating based on, oh, wait, this looks like an ellipse, this looks like a circle, and this looks like a parabola almost. So, yeah, that's kind of how I've been doing this. Okay, and then the middle part where kind of Montana has that nose that juts in, it kind of drops down. And the nose, and then meets that part there. So that's about right. It's not too bad. All right, and then the width to height on Montana is about 2 to 1. So this is gonna be pretty decent, actually. There we go. There's Montana. Okay, this might go a little longer, but we'll see what happens. Okay, next, Nevada. So Nevada, you can kind of split into two parts. There's a top part that's kind of, that I estimated about 3 to 2, so like basically a rectangle, and then like a right triangle at the bottom. So the right triangle at the bottom, actually, it does something kind of funny, which is there's that little kind of notch in the bottom of Nevada. If you kind of continue the triangle, to kind of just forget about the notch, pretend Nevada is actually a pentagon. Is that a pentagon? Quadrilateral, trapezoid. If you forget about that notch, the bottom is basically a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So we're gonna kind of do that. So I'm gonna kind of do that, kind of eyeball this a little bit. And this is gonna kind of come 45 degrees. Like that. Not bad. I think that's a little skinny, but that's okay. That is it's a tolerable mistake. Okay, Utah. Something else I discovered. Colorado, actually. So this little notch in Utah here is actually about the same as the notch in Nebraska. So actually, if you wanted to, you could just about fit Nebraska up against Utah there. Something kind of interesting anyway. Maybe only to me. Okay, draw California coming down a little bit. Bay Area right below the notch, or right below the bend in the border there. And then it gets a little wider as it goes down the state. It doesn't exactly follow that angle. It gets a little wider, actually. And then it gets kind of near the... kind of near the Los Angeles area. It kind of drops almost straight down and does that before it meets the straight southern border. There we go. Okay, Arizona, I actually measured this. Arizona is actually much taller than it is wide. Not much, but it's like, the ratio is close to 7 to 10. So like, it's basically, it's not quite 3 to 4, I think. Yeah, it's not quite 3 to 4, but it's pretty close. So like if I turned like Colorado on its side, basically that would look like Arizona. So we're gonna kind of eyeball that. And then the southern border of Arizona kind of does... that's probably a little too fat, but that's okay. Again, only happy accidents. Okay, New Mexico. Something I learned, actually, Apparently, so in this upper corner of New Mexico, upper right corner of New Mexico, it actually juts into Oklahoma. Like the Oklahoma Panhandle kind of meets it. There's like a 2 mile wide, like a little crook basically up here. I'm not gonna be able to draw that, but it's kind of an interesting thing that happens. So there is not a Four Corners. There is there. I screwed that up. I made New Mexico a little too wide, I believe. I did. It does not meet right here, so that's going to be a mistake. There is not a Four Corners there, but we're going to pretend that there is. Okay, so let's see. Texas actually does that, so we're going to kind of make up for it by making this Texas Panhandle a little narrow. Okay, and then this part of Texas here kind of goes... I don't know what you call this left half, this left piece of Texas, but it almost goes at a 45-degree angle, and then it comes down like a circle almost, like a kind of like that. Let's see. Do the Red River here. Comes up a little bit, and the width of Texas from like the western part of the Panhandle to the like the eastern kind of beer gut part, it's about 3 times the width of the Panhandle, a little bit more, but we're gonna, yeah, so let's see, we'll call it 3 panhandles wide, so it's like that, and then there, so it's not much more than that. There we go. And then it has a straight part, goes down a little bit. Let me think. Louisiana kind of juts in after that part, so let's see, that's gonna be Arkansas, like right there and like there basically. And Louisiana kind of juts in after a little bit, and then it comes back out. Okay, and then we'll try and meet this with Texas now. There's like a little arc that kind of peaks like early in the Panhandle, and then it kind of comes down until it's there, and then it kind of almost does like a little, what looks like a circle down here. And this is going to be a little too tall, but that's not too bad. And then it kind of, there's some little bays in here, like little cities like Galveston, Houston is up here somewhere, and then like Corpus Christi is down there. So I made this a little too tall, but that's not the worst mistake to make. It's not too bad. I think that's about as good as I've done freehanded. So, all right, let's see. Let's continue. Okay, Oklahoma, the Panhandle for that is going to be a little short, but that's okay. And Arkansas actually kind of does, it gets a little narrower as it gets to the bottom. It's not a perfectly straight eastern border at Oklahoma either. Let's see, Kansas. Let's do Nebraska here real quick. I almost forgot about Nebraska. Almost made Kansas as tall as Colorado. That would have been a bit of a disaster. Okay, now if I draw the southern border of Arkansas first, I can get the boot heel a little better in Missouri here, so. Because the southern border actually also kind of helps with Louisiana a lot. Not that it's going to help me here, I don't think. Okay, let's see now. Let's do Missouri right about there. Okay, moment of truth. Am I gonna get this right? Let's see. We don't know. I'm gonna stall for time for a second. I'm gonna stall for time and do the Midwest, do the rest of the Midwest here. See if I can. All right, made the mask a little too sharp, but that's okay. All right, North Dakota and South Dakota are about the same height. Alright, enough stalling for time. Let's see if we can get Missouri right here. Okay, Iowa does this. And then Illinois comes across kind of like that, but then Lake Michigan drops down, and then the eastern border of Illinois just kind of does that. There's not that much of like, it's not like a whole like, it's not like a whole quarter circle of that. So okay, let's see now. Okay, here we go. Missouri does have like a straight here part here, I believe, with Kentucky, and then it kind of this, and then there's St. Louis. Look at that. All right, Illinois, Indiana. All right, there's Mississippi. Okay, let's see. There's Tennessee, and there's a little bit of Kentucky that kind of steps up. There's like a little stair step there in Kentucky there. Okay, let's see if I can get Illinois right. I always mess this up, but today might be a good day for it. There we go. This might be my best Illinois yet. All right, let's finish up Minnesota and Wisconsin and all that stuff. All right, Wisconsin kind of comes up a little bit. Minnesota kind of drops down all the way to Lake Superior. Kind of like that almost. There is a straight part of the border with Minnesota, I believe. In Wisconsin. There we go. We're going to conceal that a little bit. I'd still made Minnesota too fat. It's funny, the places I've lived before are the ones that I always screw up the worst. Wait till you get to North Carolina, man. Just wait till you get to North Carolina. Wait till I get to North Carolina. Quite as wide as Illinois. Kind of comes down, the straight eastern border kind of comes down only halfway, because then it kind of does the I don't think this is the Wabash, the Ohio. This is the Ohio River. The Ohio River kind of does this number all the way down it. Okay, Kentucky's going to be a little tall today, but that's okay. Only happy mistakes. Okay, let's keep going across the south here. Alabama. Georgia. Which actually kind of juts into Florida just a little bit here. Before it does this little number there like that. Okay, let's see. All right, let's stop stalling and get Florida in here. Okay, there's a little bay there, right? I'm not just gonna draw it like a singular peninsula this time. There's the keys. All right, I'm gonna run out of space, but that's okay. Just gotta tilt this whole thing. Wow, I drew this whole thing at like a 45-degree angle almost. Okay, Ohio is actually pretty wide, and then it has like the slope on the eastern half of like its bottom southern border is actually a lot more dramatically sloping than its western half. So we're gonna try to draw that. All right, there's Michigan. Something to work on there. I always kind of approximate with Michigan here, so you know. All right, let's see if I can get this East Coast done right here. All right, so Tennessee kind of does. That's good enough. All right, so North Carolina does like this number there, and then comes down. It has a. Burbanks there. Not great, but it's probably about as well as I've done with it. Okay, now if I can get the interaction between pause there, finish this real quick. All right. Let's see if we can get this done very quickly here. Alright, West Virginia has that dual panhandle. Get Virginia in there. Turn this a little bit here. And then Maine kind of does have like a straight piece there, and then we're gonna go. And there we go. All right, let's put Alaska up here today.